Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. There would be those who would say this, that the transition was too quick, and that all you hear now is what you've been hearing for 5 hours. And they would say that it is the voice of the human being pretending to channel. Now, those exact words we have said many other times. It is those who can see and feel the energy and will know that in this place there is a change, and that the communication is real. Starting from the back of the room forward, the entourage begins its journey until it reaches the stage. I know some who feel it and some who don't. And we say this, as we've been said before, if you are one who is here in disbelief, this is not a time to convince you. And all we would ask of you is to open your heart and allow for a moment. What if this was real? What if this is real? Would you allow Spirit to touch you and to show you it is? Would that be too much? What have you got to lose? And then there are those who know that this is a time that is exactly as predicted. That what is here is what you think is here. That there is an energy on the other side of the veil, which many of you call God or Spirit, that is a family and connected to you. And this process is a completion of the connection for this time. That this process is one which speaks to many of you at the same time, and this same process is the one that you personally have. And it may not speak to you in these words, in this way, in this language, but it's still the process. Could it be that you are hearing Kryon, a piece of the creative energy which comes to you in your reality through the channel who sits in the chair? And some will believe it and some who won't. So this is for those who understand and believe. This is for those who've gathered in this room. A message for all, but specifically for you. Some messages, they contain physics. Some messages, they contain concepts. Some messages are predictions and facts. I present this one for the season. What is the season? They call it the holidays. In linearity, where I am, in the culture that I sit in, it is a pronouncement of faith in the Master of Love. And so it becomes a holiday of love, a time of gift giving, and a time of great stress. I am Kryon, and I want to give you something from my perspective for the holiday. And if I'm going to do it accurately, I'm going to do it in this way. I'm going to represent my partner's case for singularity. Call it an extension of the channels we've been giving for weeks, if you will. I'm going to call it this: Promises from a Personal God. Oh, human being, there's such a singularity in the way you think. It is your bias. It is the way you are. And every single one of you, including my partner, has it. It is what you are learning to get around. It is what you are learning to circumvent. But how does a human learn to think differently? In your reality, the singularness creates one soul, one human being, one truth, one God, one belief, one way that is right when all the others are not. That is the bias, is it not? And in there is created what we would call rules of men. And the rules of men tell you how it works. And as my partner says, depending upon the box that you go to, the rules change. And I want to give you the truth. From my perspective, I want to eliminate the bias. I want to take you in a circle for a moment and hold hands with you and tell you about a God of promise. In this great shift, in this holiday season, in a time of love, I would like to de-stress this moment. And so I'm going to give you the promises that I've prepared. Oh, it won't take long. But the energy in which this is given is of love so strong that the ages are involved here. And I'm going to present it to my partner in a way he can't miss it. He can't miss it. It'll soar through the Akash, through the creation of the planet before humans ever arrived, giving you the promises of the Creator. So you can sit in the chairs and hear it and decide what it means to you. Promise number one. It's not going to sound like a promise. This is a quantum attribute. It doesn't sound like a promise. It sounds like a statement. It's a promise. And here is the basis of all basis. Truth is love. Now that's a quantum statement for you, for all of that is fraught with pregnant potential for misunderstanding. Truth means so many things to so many people. Love means so many things to so many people. Think of this. The truth of God, the truth of life, the truth of all doctrines on the planet, the truth of the facts is love. And it is the love that God has for humanity and the love that humanity has back for God. This is the cycle which cannot be diminished with intellect. This is the cycle and the truth that cannot be broken. For it's not a straight line, it's a circle, and it always will be. This is discovery. Truth is love. And you can build around it all the paradigms you wish of how things work. You can create steps around it if you choose. You can make doctrines around it if you choose. You can make it your own and exclusive to you if you choose. But you can't break the circle. And you cannot dismiss the intuition of humanity. And that's promise number one. Truth is love. A promise that will never, ever change. If you could surround one word that's an action word around that, I'll give it to you. It's discovery. Can you discover it? Out of the intellect, how do I touch the face of God? What are the processes? There are none. When the mother touches the face of the newborn for the first time, how many steps are there, Mom? How many books did you have to read, Mom? I'll tell you, it was with the heart, was it not? Touch the face of the infant for the first time, right from your womb. Do you remember it? For the first time. That's a promise, you see. Promise number two, your family. The promise is this, that every single human being used to be a piece of God. That's a promise. That's not a fact. It's not a statement. That's a gift I give you. Information you need to know. The family of God is bigger than you think. The family of God includes your Akashic record. All of the humans you used to be. All the names that are printed in there. All of the soul energies that are a piece and part of the higher self. The one soul that is you. It has been here over and over and over. That's family. Combine it with those in the room and their souls, gosh, combine it with the God essence. That is family. Why is it a promise, Kryon? What does it mean, a promise? It's a promise that there is purpose here. That you're not bouncing around in a random life with no direction. Now that's your choice, family member. But if you will come into the fold and understand that there's energies surrounding you that are profoundly guide producing with purpose, the first thing that happens is the big aha. I really am part of something. And the second is peace. When there's purpose, there's peace. And that's number two. Number three is difficult for me to give you without the emotion that goes with it. This is a personal God you have. Personal because you are part of it. Personal because it knows your name. Not the human being's name. No. The name of your soul. The name of your life lesson. The name of the quantum you. The name of the light that you are when you're not here. I know who you are. And so does every other piece of creation. Have you ever gazed upon nature in all of its wonder and its beauty? Have you ever sat in a place filled with so much beauty that it just overwhelms your senses and makes you weep? Have you ever had that? If you have, you know that you've just been recognized by every rock and every tree. And the very wind that blows in your face calls your name. Part of creation you are, and you just met yourself. That's why humans cry at beauty. When they stand on the mountaintop and the clouds clear and the sun rises, and they cry. They can't help it, because the dirt greets them. Snow greets them. The very essence of nature itself sings their name. We know you. That's the promise of personal God. We're not a statue. We're not a doctrine. We're not removed. We're not even in the sky. We're with every heartbeat of the human being. Beautiful it is. And the primary word is discovery. Number 4, we care. Why should God care for human beings? God is so big. Humans are so small. God created the universe. How small must a human being be? How big is your higher self? You have no idea. It is a universal presence that has a name, an identity, and it's not singular. Human being, I cannot tell you, because you cannot fathom the purpose of the higher self. It is part of creation itself. It is the piece of God that is God. It's the part you split off from when you come down to be a human being. It is you in the God suit when you look up at the sky, when you see the Milky Way. It is you in the God suit that is the universe. And it cares about you. It cares enough to know your name. It cares enough that when you make a decision to co-create, when you make a decision to push on that door of knowingness, even to sit and be loved, it's there. You can't break the circle. Oh, you can ignore it. And so many do. As being frivolous. Of not being so or true. But you can't break the circle. Truth is love. Number 5 and number 6 are filled with promise. These are new promises. I would like to give you this information so you know it. Number 5 is this. Deep within your Akash is everything you've ever learned on this planet. And here is the promise that you never move backwards, that everything you've ever learned comes in again. These are new times. In this that you call metaphysics, which is simply the way things work, there is something added, and it is this, that the jar of spirituality that you've learned through life experience over and over is kept from life to life, and the next time you arrive, it is still intact. This is our promise. Dear human being, listen to me, that the next time you arrive on this planet, should you choose to open the jar of your knowledge, out will spill the shaman that you are or used to be, and everything you learned in 2009, 2010, 2011, until the last breath you take. All that is yours, that you call knowledge, enlightenment, comes in again. And you can pick up where you left. How is that for a promise? Free will may not let you want to. And that's free will. But if you want to, you'll remember it. And remembrance is the active word here in this promise. For without knowing the actual facts of who you were, or where you've been, or how you've learned it, out will come spilling the knowledge of the ages. And you will process it and go from there. You never have to learn it again. My promise to you today, it should make you feel pretty good. Because as I sit here and look at this group, every single one of you is coming back. You're not going to miss what you started. You're not going to miss what you started. Number 6, it is new. It is a promise never spoken by Kryon. It is a promise of a new energy and of a quantum awareness. And here it is. Be careful, my partner, how you state this. For let it ring with the truth that is there, and also with the power of the Akashic quantum mind. Humans are becoming more quantum. There is an interface with the Akash going on that I have been talking about now for years. And in these months, I have asked you to mine the Akash. That is to go and pick up those attributes which are yours, which you've earned in what you call past lives, which we call current life energy, that it literally is part of the soup of who you are. Here is something new. You have a consciousness now, a desire, a passion. And with this comes Akashic choice. For the first time, I am telling you now that you can choose now certain attributes of the Akash when you return. What you have thought of in the past as randomness of the gender that you're going to be, where you're going to live, and more. I'm going to tell you, you have control of it. And with repeated Akashic intent to cement this fully into your dynamic quantumness, you can physically choose what's going to happen the next time around. Listen to me. Are you allied with a partner? And you cannot conceive of being without them? Listen to me. What did I tell you was truth. It's love. Perhaps you're in love so deeply with the one you're with, or going to be with, or have been with. And you want to relive it. You don't want it to stop in this lifetime, and you would love to have it continue the next time around. Perhaps you've lost somebody. Well, you haven't. You have the ability of claiming this Akash. It's a promise. It is new. Even with partnership. And with their permission, and they'll give it to you, the two of you can cement an agreement to meet again and to continue the love affair. And that's just the beginning. What is your passion? Do you enjoy the gender you are? Then repeat it. Do you like the talents you have? Would you like them to be enhanced? Then claim it. It is the first time we have ever given this information to you. This is power. This is power of a quantum thinker. To look inside the Akash and arrange it for the next time. the option is there for discovery. And it brings me to the last one, the simplest one, the one that'll never change. A promise. A promise. You're never alone. Stated in the first channel Kryon ever gave over 20 years ago, in private to my partner. These are the words that he heard. I am Kryon of magnetic service, and you are never alone. Because you're not singular in 3 dimensions, the mirror says you are. If you had a multi-D mirror, you'd see the truth. Pieces and parts of you surround you, guides and helpers, angels. Whatever you call angels, whatever you think they are. They're not even singular. You can't give them names. Go ahead. If it makes you feel good, put skin and wings on them. Put a halo on them, give them a name. That's not who they are. Oh, it's bigger than that. And they're not singular either. And you're never alone. In your darkest moment, you're never alone. I want you to remember this. In your last breath. Right before the light comes on. In your last breath. So that there is no fear. As you meet the family. And you discover everything I have said today is accurate and true. And the operative word is remembrance and love. This is the holiday message. It's a holiday message for everyone, not just to celebrate this holiday. For the truth is that every single day could be like this. Peaceful. Whole. Wise. Without heartache. Without worry. With Akashic knowledge. And the promise of the future. This is the message of Kryon for you today. And there will be those who know I'm talking right to them. And one of them is my partner. And so it is.
Hi everybody, thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
So I would like to invite you to close your eyes, release all the tension from your body, relax your head, relax your shoulders, relax your arms and your hands, relax your chest, relax your back, relax your abdomen, relax your thighs, your knees, your calves, relax your feet. And as you concentrate on the energy within your feet, allow yourself to feel, sense, or experience the connection between yourself and our planet, our Mother Earth, our Gaia. There is an energy field that connects you to this partner. And allow your golden heart to radiate love, gratitude, appreciation for our planet, our beautiful planet that provides us with every single resource we have to enjoy a beautiful life on this planet. Thank you, Gaia, for being here. Thank you, Gaia, for loving us. And as we express our gratitude and appreciation for the planet, allow yourself to receive the pulsating wave that is coming up through the planet into your being as the planet thanks you, acknowledges you. Look at all you have achieved. Look at this moment that is happening now and all that has happened to bring humanity to this point where we are shifting our consciousness. The planet has such a deep love for you. You, against all odds, have made it to this point. And allow yourself to go deeper into the earth. Because inside the earth, there are many energy grids. And one of these grids within the earth we call the ancestor grid. All the ancestors that walked this earth before us, their wisdom and knowledge is there, available to us on this ancestor grid. And so let us give honor and thanks to all the ancestors that have walked this earth before us. And let us, with gratitude and appreciation, receive and accept the wisdom and knowledge that they wish in this moment to share with us. Thank you, ancestors, for being here. Thank you, ancestors, for loving us. And take a deep breath. And exhale slowly. And allow yourself to simply relax into the arms of the Kryon entourage that is here in support and love of you.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. There would be those who say, well, this is no place for a New Age channel. What are you doing in something so profound and so sacred, which would be the celebration of the earth from the indigenous? And I will say, dear ones, alter your perspective for just a moment and understand something. Channeling is a word you have decided to use for a process that is ancient. The ancients who walked this planet did this. They did it in their own ways, and there were many names for what you see here. Being in touch with the other side, a dimensionality that is not yours, is not new. Most of the ancients did this through their chiefs, through their shamans, and they did it in a way that they said, we are now in touch with our ancestors. So how is this different from the other side of this veil of your own dimensionality? I am here to give you profound information about you And you would say, well, where does it come from? It comes from the grids of this planet. It comes from the sentience, the intelligence of your partner. It comes from the ancestors who would love to stand up right now and shout to you, good job, you're on the way. It's what we predicted would happen. There is no greater wisdom on this planet than that from those who have lived, died, come back, done it again, in the form of the wisest indigenous who ever lived. These are the ones who sensed things way before there was an electronic system to do it for you. These are the ones who took a look at the stars and intuited what was happening, did the mathematics, perhaps, long before telescopes. These are the ones who carried the wisdom, who predicted today. This is a message from them. That's what the channeling is. It's not new. And here's what they say. The predicted winds of change for the human race as it is today are here. The winds blow from the past to the future in very interesting ways. And the stars foretell it, and the alignments help it. But that wind cannot be stopped. And that wind is an awakening. It's an awakening to greater ideas and perceptions. It's an awakening to an intelligence that should have been there, but was suppressed, perhaps, but cannot be stopped. And it's all around you, oh modern ones. It's around you. Have you noticed? It's not just for the ones who are interested in sacred things. It's for everyone. And it's happening all around this planet. There are so many layers starting to awakening. But it cannot be stopped. And what I mean by that, like a snowball that rolls down the hill, it collects wisdom as it goes, and more awaken and more see a truth that has always been there. Let me ask you this. As you look at your own planet, at your own modern societies, and you see the ignorance that has happened in the pollution of the planet, the results of it, and you see this. Now you have more humans on the planet than ever, billions. Why then, in that situation, suddenly would you awaken to what you've done? It's counterintuitive. In fact, many in the past predicted you wouldn't even be here today because of the amount of pollution. And now that you have more people, it's counterintuitive for an awakening to say, stop doing it. And yet that is what has happened. So just marginally, there is an awakening with industry, with others, with all the things modern that say, be careful of the planet. It's counterintuitive that any modern society would have that kind of an awakening right now, with more people, with more resources needed. And yet that's what's happened. There are certain societies, including the one my partner lives in, who is awakening to something that is absolute core truth that the Europeans have always known. Eat better. Get rid of the preservatives. Go find organic things from the garden. How long did that take? Perhaps 200 years or more? What I'm saying is this. There is a wisdom that is starting to change on this planet at the core level. Perhaps you've not realized that these things, again, counterintuitive. Why should all human beings suddenly start an awareness that they haven't had before? What is it? What it is the cycle. You're in a new cycle, dear ones, and the ancestors have told you it was coming. As I speak to you, the earth is experiencing a pandemic. If I told you it was right on schedule, would it be too controversial for you? You've been forced to take a look at yourselves, to stop the planet, perhaps for almost a year. When you stop the planet for a year and you stop doing the things that were normal to you, there's a lot of introspection that goes on. There's also a lot of fear. There's a lot of change, and some of it, dear ones, is benevolent. Systems that should have been stopped a long time ago will stay stopped. Systems that were just beginning, that couldn't get anywhere because of the old systems, are now free to proceed. Do you see what I'm saying? Oh, there's more. Suddenly, in certain societies, there's an awakening of injustices that have been here since the society began. They're now being examined. Regular human beings, not necessarily the ones in spirituality or listening to this program, are making wiser decisions. They want a stop to certain kinds of things. All of you know about the corruptions that are in government and always have been. They are intuitively created from the system of government. Things happen the way they happen because of the power structures all over the planet. And yet, that is beginning to change. Some will say, well, I haven't seen it yet. You're right, but you will. That is all there. It's ripe for the wild cards, as I say, to come forward. Those who perhaps you didn't think would come forward, which will make these changes. Dear ones, there is so much going on. Injustices between the genders that have always been there. Suddenly, in certain societies, there's objections. Suddenly, things that have been carried on literally for decades and decades and decades in a normal way are no longer acceptable. Did you notice? There is much coming, dear ones, and you're going to see it, and the predictions that I have given all are about awakening. Awakening of a consciousness that is not just wiser, but higher. A high consciousness is a one that will not tolerate things of the kinds of things that have been going on this planet for a very long time. And it's not just a few. Look for this. And that would be in the masses that will begin to raise up and say, we will not allow this, we will not tolerate this. And they'll be pointing their fingers to the leaders. And they'll say to their governments and their officials and their shamans and their priests and their rabbis, they will say, it's time for this to change. Dear ones, all over this planet, there's one thing happening right now that is ripe for exposure. There are many of these, but the one that is closest, and the ancestors are smiling because it's time to correct this, is the slavery of children. Rampant. It is much more than you think it is. In certain societies, it's easier and it is more rampant. In certain societies, it's not as easy, but it's still there. Sexual slavery, farming young women actually in birth to be slaves. It sounds barbaric, and it is part of your modern society. And it is well funded, dear ones. And it's unconscionable for the times. The shift is here. And I will tell you that the exposure finally of this is at hand. That is a high consciousness move, because that's been around for 1,000 years. Truly, things that are happening in the dark are starting to be illuminated. This is what the teaching has always been. the human who sits in the chair, was exposed to me in 1989. Questions were always there. Why are you here? Why now? What should this be? And the answer has always been the same. For the procession. For the wind of change that may or may not happen. Your scripture told you you would not make it past the year 2000. Go look. Go take a look. That's your modern scripture. But the indigenous of the planet, they said there was a chance. They gave the whole idea of a shift, of a cycle, a big one that was coming. It did, right on schedule, as predicted from the stars that they saw. And you sit in it. Question, do you accept this? Number 2, what will you do with it? I speak even to the chiefs and the shamans of the indigenous right now. Your ancestors are asking you to be patient with all those who are not of your tribe. To be patient, be circumspect, and allow perhaps for traditions to bend a little. To allow those who are not aware of what you're aware of to be in the fold of knowledge. Release some of the secrets, the beauty of Gaia, some of the traditions that are now needed for those who never had them before. This is what the wise men and women bring to this planet, and it's time to share them. This is the message of the day. It's huge. It's enormous. It's benevolent. It's joyful. You are moving into something that very few expected, unless you've been watching and listening to those who came before. This is the message I have had now for 31 years and will continue to have. And so it is.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. This morning we ask you to feel the wind of truth. It's a metaphor. When you feel the wind, it blows often in a gentle way that's refreshing. And that's the way the truth is of this shift. You're looking at new energies that you have never had before presented to you in different ways. Years ago, we spoke of the recalibration energy. You have passed through that. And now comes the work. So many of you have asked this very day, what's next? What should I do? What's possible? Because this is new, dear ones, the manual for what's next hasn't been written. But there are things we can ask you to do that are so able to be done. And it has to be done by old souls. Now this is an overview. It's a generality that I'm giving you. It's not a specific. So let's talk about the specifics first, which is backwards. You ask you what you're going to do next. What are you supposed to do? What is that which is in the plan for you? And almost all of you, we say to you, you are unique. So it may be different for each of you, but there is one thing that we're going to start asking for, and you're going to hear it more and more. Old soul, in this new energy, things are going to come to you. Watch for the synchronicity. Don't pass it up. When you hear ideas, when you meet people, when somebody says, let's go over here and do something and you've never done it before, that is synchronicity. And the second thing we would say to you is that in the synchronicity that you will meet, see it for what it is, because that's what you should do. What brought you here to this room? For those of you sitting here, what's the synchronicity? Not all of you said, oh yes, I'm going to go to this meeting, let's buy a ticket now. In fact, there's a lot of you. But that did not happen at all. And here you sit to hear these messages. Messages of hope and truth. Can you feel the wind blowing? Things are changing, dear ones, and the second large thing we'd ask you individually is to be patient. Human beings, when they start feeling the energies and realize the aha of truth, are so excited. And they want to act now. It's almost like you're going to run out of time, and you're not. Be patient. Let the things develop as they come to you. You'll know what to do with them. We told you over and over, it's time to start practicing mastery, to treat others differently. All of these things. That's what you're here for. We've said before, those of you who are sitting around expecting a plan, what am I supposed to do? And we've said before, what if you're already doing it? What if your very existence anchors energy for those around you? What if you're playing a part you don't even know you're playing simply by being you around others who are watching you? What if that's why you're here? You realize the importance of that, of who you're touching and who you're changing. So it's not like you think. It's not a linear, what am I to do? And yet, I'm going to ask you for something now. All of you. All of those listening to my voice, all of those in the room, there really is something you can do. My partner touched on an energy. You might call it a scenario that is going on right now on this planet. The very thing I'm going to discuss is something that is holding you back from the evolution that we speak of, from the wild cards that are coming, for the inventions we told you you need, the things that are being developed and are ready right now are being held up by what I'm going to tell you. It's very real what my partner was telling you, that most of this planet is still in an expectation of doom mode. Most. Wherever you go, there is this feeling of what you have called waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're overdue for doom. You're overdue for the world war that was given to you as prediction after prediction after prediction. It is so odd. Everything around you says it's changed. Everything. If you will take a look at the wars that you've had, the last World War and the one before, take a look at who the players were. Now take a look at what they're doing. They've dropped their borders. They're trading with one another. The scenario for the next war is not there, and yet you expect it. You take a look at all that is around you. It is not then yelling at you, you're going to have a war. There's so much more that's giving you the evidence. That's not what's going to happen at all. Then why is it that you feel like it's coming? Now, those listening to my voice, old souls. Those in the room, old souls. You are awakening to a grander truth for the planet. A truth that doesn't just belong to a niche amount of believers. It's for the whole planet. Therefore, I'm telling you something that involves the whole planet. But the old souls are the graduates. You have most of the experience. you have profound consciousness that can change energy. The world is expecting doom. The books that have been written about the fractals tell you about the ripples of time that repeat themselves, that yell to you that there's going to be problems, there's going to be war, that yell to you your economy is going to collapse at any moment. There are seeds of truth in the ripples. Let me tell you something perhaps you have figured out or not. The ripples of an old energy are dangerous to you. Dangerous. Because if enough human beings buy into the old energy, it's going to slow things down, and some of them will occur. So now you know what I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to start spreading the word to everybody that you know, who would ask you, who would mention it, in idle passing or not. Shape your words for a good future. Don't buy into this. Don't be persuaded that something awful has to occur. Dear ones, the prophecies have come and gone. You are in the clear. But the ripples are still there of the old energy. When you hear those speak of it, you can tell them this. Well, it didn't happen. We've got a good future ahead. They'll start giving you chapter and verse of the old energy. They'll tell you what has happened and therefore, and therefore. They'll pull the politics of the day into it. They'll say, and therefore, and therefore. And you don't have to convince them. All you have to do is show them you don't agree. In a loving way, you can say, yeah, I don't think so. I feel something good is coming. Old souls carry weight. You carry it with your family, with your children, with your friends, with your colleagues. And the weight you carry is because of who you are and who they see in you. Are you a person who was slow to anger, who was quick to love? Are you a person who is not showing their age as much? Are you a person who has more energy than you should for your age? Are you a person that they will look at and they will say, I don't know what you've got, but I like it? They're going to listen to you, old soul. Anyone who listens to my voice, I'm going to call it a name. I want you to rewrite the past. The old ripples of time that say that you are overdue for something was written in an old energy. You are rewriting that energy. You have seen the prophecies of an older time drop away. The Mayan calendar told you that old history and time was over. The new calendar that has been put up by the Maya says that history is going to go into a place nobody expected. That a new long count is here. And that human consciousness can go into an evolved state higher than it's ever been. Where is that realization? And I'll tell you, it's only with the wise ones. And that's you. You come to a meeting like this, you get excited because you hear the facts. You see the physics. You hear the predictions. And you walk out the door and you know, absolutely know, that things are different and the shift is here and there's a chance that humanity will pull out of this faster than you know. That's the first thing I'm going to ask you to do. But the second thing, well, it may be backwards, dear ones. I do that a lot. Even the logic is in a circle. One thing leads to another. One thing builds on another. There are those listening to my voice that still don't believe it. How are you going to live in a way that's going to tell others to expect good things are coming. How are you going to rewrite this past if you haven't really cognized it, if you don't believe it? You would say, well, Kryon, this should have been the first thing. No, I wanted to give you the most profound thing first. You're going to have to change the past. You're going to have to avoid the ripple. And that can only be done by high consciousness groups of individuals who are spreading the word in their own way of a bright future for this planet of better consciousness. You're going to have to cognize it. You're going to have to believe it for yourself. You're going to have to know it's different. It's got to be your truth. So strong does it have to be that it competes with your belief system of whether gravity is real or not. Whether when you drop something it'll fall on the floor or not. That's how cognizing works. It has to be part of your cellular structure. That's why I'm here. I'm here to carry humanity into a brighter future and to void out those ripples, those old energy things that we have felt coming and are still here. The earth is still expecting to terminate. Kryon, what do we do about that? Well, if you just wait, it'll go away. But that's not what you want, is it? Generation after generation will eventually clear the ripples. You're already starting to see it with the indigos. They're not buying into an old energy system. One of those things they're not buying into is the ripples. Are you going to wait for another generation and another and perhaps another before you can move forward? Or are you going to start getting active? Kryon, I don't really understand. What am I supposed to do? And just shout it from the rooftop? I'll tell you what you're supposed to do. You watch. Because suddenly in your life you will have synchronicity to open your mouth. It'll come from various sources and you remember this moment. And you'll smile because you'll say, here it is. Somebody will say to you, do you believe this election? Do you believe what's going on here? Do you believe how bad all of this energy is? What do you say normally? Yeah, it's bad. I see it. Or do you say, I recognize it, and you know what? The next one is going to be different. Things are changing. It's going to get better. You just wait. You say that, dear one. How many people will take that and repeat it? Do you see what you've done? At every single time, you get the synchronicity to state a bright future. How many times have people complained to you or saw that you were a listener, and you are, and they come to you and they say, things are not going well. What do you say? What should come out of your mouth immediately? That's today. Just wait for tomorrow. And if you do this, and if you will believe this, and if you will then find the God inside, perhaps you'll find the joy and understand that humanity is headed for a bright future. And it can go faster if you do that. But you got to believe it. You got to believe it before it can be passed on. This is the first time I have broached this. That now your job gets harder. You've called yourself a light worker. Turn on the light. You're going to find moment after moment after moment presented to you, you didn't even recognize what you were saying or doing. Where you can turn it around in a benevolent way and not argumentative. And you can say, yes, I've seen the election. Isn't it interesting? It's going to be something different next time. And then after that, even next time. You can say, isn't it interesting to watch and see the old energy we never saw before? And now we can start cleaning it up. People will walk away saying, either that's a wise, old, cheerful person, even if you're young, Or they'll say, that's a Pollyanna. And they'll walk away and do whatever they wish. It doesn't matter what they do with it, dear ones, what you do with it. Can you turn things around so that you are a positive speaker? A positive speaker. Number 3, the final. We use 3 because this is the catalyst. This is going to be the catalyst. If enough old souls are doing this regularly, it's going to be obvious to many. What's going on with them? They're not echoing anymore the drama that's here. They're not agreeing anymore that the old energy is here. Instead, all they're seeing is light. The third thing. How do I tell you this? You've heard it before. This won't be work if you fall in love with yourself. This won't be work if you fall in love with yourself. If you're with a cheerful person, it's contagious, isn't it? If you're with a person who has joy and laughter, it's contagious, isn't it? Who are you? Now, you're going to see I just went backwards on everything. Should have been the first thing I said. Fall in love with yourself, cognize it's real, and spread the word. I did it backwards. I want you to think about the circle of time you're in and the fact that that's why it is the way it is. The circle of time has created the belief that people have that doom is coming. The new energy that was predicted all over the planet is here, and yet the old energy circle still exists in the psyche of those who have experienced it all their life. Enter the old soul with joy, with love, with a countenance that is a smiling countenance, not a depressed one. Are you listening? Some of you need to hear this. You're so concerned with the earth and what's happening that you walk around depressed. May I just tell you, your depression is not helping anyone, even you. You can be as concerned as you want to. You can frown all day long, and you haven't helped a soul. Are you listening? God is joyful, and the things that you worry about will be faster settled if you'll spread the word of joy. That's all we're asking. Change your countenance, watch for the synchronicities, and at every single point, if you can, give a positive outcome, not an agreed-on negative one. Oh, it's easy to listen to somebody complain and say, yeah, that's the way it is. And then you move on. How many times do you do that? You might think, well, it's none of my business. I don't want to start an argument. You're not, dear ones. When you state the obvious, my truth is that we're climbing out of this. It may not look like it. Don't watch the news anymore. You can tell them. Because all you're going to see is ugly stuff, and it's going to lay on you and hurt your heart. Turn it off and create the reality this earth needs. It's getting better, not worse. There are those who will turn away and not believe you. And then there are those who will start understanding what you're saying. They may even come and listen. To the facts that were presented even this day that you won't necessarily see on your news. That this planet is going through a recalibration and starting to correct things that need correcting. And slowly the integrity of humanity is one that no longer wants war. I want you to analyze how many countries are there on the planet and how many are actually fighting with everybody else. It's a fraction of what it was 50 years ago. Fraction. There's really only about 3 or 4 holdouts today that have dictators who would willingly invade another country. That's old energy. Dear ones, that is not what's going to happen. Take a look at the reaction of the countries to this. Take a look at what humanity in general is after and trying to do. Putting things together and not tearing them apart. Not circling the wagons and competing for resources anymore. Trying to put it together and make it work. You've been doing this now long enough now that you can see it's not the way it used to be. Tell your friends. This is what the old souls is about today. It's not going to be that hard when you believe it. You walk around with a smile and joyful. People ask, what have you got? What are you doing? Why are you smiling so much? And you can say, because things are getting better. They're getting better in my life because I've discovered there's a shift going on. This isn't going to void out somebody's belief system or religion for you to say the future is going to get better. The prophecies of the old, they didn't happen. They're not coming. They didn't happen. All the timelines that were given to you, including the end of time with the Mayans, is not what took place. Instead, things are starting to improve. That's the message. You'll see, because the synchronicity will be given to you to comment more than you think. And then my advice is that comment in love, in joy, not in opposition. There's a difference. You can hold them to your bosom as friends, as mates, and at the same time you can give them beautiful information without making them wrong. Because you're giving it in joy, with a smile. I believe things are going to improve. That's the predictions of the ancients. We've passed a corner. It's a tough time right now. You're seeing a lot of opposition to light. And I am the light. What a joyful, loving answer. Not an opposing proposition. Not an opinion that's different. It's just a statement of power. Old soul, you know how to do this. You've been there, you've done that. You know human nature. Fall in love with yourself. Start to change your continence of joy. Cognize the truth that things are happening differently. And then cancel this ripple of doom. If you can cancel the ripple or even make a dent in it, I will tell you the speed of what is going to take place will quicken. The fewer people who expect the end will create a far faster evolution of consciousness on this planet. But those ripples of doom that are not going to happen, that people still sense, have got to go away or be erased or at least diminished before some of the things that I know are coming will arrive. You have a bright future. Wait till you see the next wild card. It's not coming until the planet is clear of expecting the end. There are some movies being developed that may surprise you. Because the Indigos are young enough now to be writing the scripts. There will be some of hope. There will be some that are rewriting the past and reminding those in the story of the things that did not happen. There'll be those who are brave enough to paint the future as something they didn't expect that would be good. Watch for this. It's just now beginning to happen. Watch for literature that changes, with writers who are now writing about a kinder, softer future. What is at hand that might work? Watch for exciting stories, even science fiction, about a bright future. Watch for stories about meeting benevolent aliens that might actually help the planet. And the drama that would ensue around it, and those who might not believe them. It's all part of avoiding the ripples of doom. And it can advance your evolution by generations. Do you accept the task? This is the old soul. I'm hearing it all over the planet. It's not going to be that hard if you see the truth and the light that is there. I am Kryon, in love with humanity for obvious reasons. I'll say it again. I have seen this before. You have seen this before. It's in your Akash on another planet. It's starting to reoccur. It's starting to come back to you. You are starting to feel better about it. At the same time, you understand God is inside you. You have help. You're not doing this alone, and you'll see it. You'll see it. That's enough for now. And so it is. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. And there'll come a time when the words magnetic service will make more sense than they do today. We're going to pass into something that we're going to call spiritual maturity. Maturity, you understand. And you would apply the word. Because when children are no longer children, and they start to be young men and women, you will look at them and say they are maturing. When they pass a certain kind of age, and they're starting to understand what you know and have known all along, adults, you will say they are now matured. That they have a wisdom factor that they did not have as children. Children have childlike thoughts and believe certain kinds of things until they mature. So you're starting to pass a maturity marker that is going to require that you understand the following things that I'm going to list for you. Earlier in the year, we started listing some things and asked you to have what we would call spiritual common sense. Now we are enhancing it. Spiritual maturity. Using new wisdom and common sense to look at some of the things around you in a way you never have. Some of these are controversial. They're controversial because they fly in the face of what you've been told. Perhaps even wound part of you which wants to do something, and I'm telling you, perhaps it's time to move. Things that maybe you're attached to and feel good about, and I'm telling you, it's time to discard them. Old souls, think about your lineage. Think how long you've been on the planet. Think about the human nature you have gotten used to. Think of the battles that you've been through. You didn't wake up this time to become an old soul. Let me tell you, most of the ones in the room have fought the old energy for lifetimes. Old souls know. Some of you had to come into the planet only to leave quickly because you said something wrong. Some of you have tried all your life to accomplish the kinds of things that now you're starting to see on the planet. Most of you have come in with what I will call an Akashic agenda, built to awaken. And in the awakening, impatience. It's built in. You can hardly wait to accomplish what you came for. Well, if you're going to do it, then here's the list. Drop the mythology. You've got a mythology around God, and it's so prevalent on the planet, and it's everywhere. And you've got to have to drop it. And it's so difficult to even begin to explain it. How do you picture God? The creative source of the universe, who loves you so much that you're part of the plan, that you're called a child of God, that you're a piece of the universe, that there was no beginning to you, and there will be no end, and the whole universe is like a speck of time. How do you picture the parent God, the one in you, the one that's eternal, that's part of your soul group? How do you picture that? There's mythology on the earth that takes humanism and puts it on God. And God has feelings, and God has punishment, and God has rewards, and none of it's so. God is God. A physics that does not argue with itself, that is perfect in its own system, that is beautiful and is a oneness that cannot be denied. God is one of the only energies that exists that you know of that is not polarized. For it is singular and beautiful and one. And so you come into the planet, and what have you told? There's a mythology that says that God is displeased with that or pleased with this. Forget it. There is no pleased or displeased. There's only love. Do you understand? You've come in with mythology that says perhaps you were born a certain way so that you could climb certain stairs and get to God better. There is no getting to God better, dear ones. You're already a piece of it. Do you understand? Paradigm that has you graduating so that you're more acceptable to Spirit is very human of you. Human nature placed upon God. How do you see angels? You put skin and wings on them and give them names? How human of you. Did you know that doesn't exist? In the singularity of God, there are energies that are part of the soup of creation that present themselves and speak, I am one of them. And yet I am all of them. I am not singular. There is no Kryon. There is an energy of the other side of the veil that has been given a name for you that means something else. And you recognize the energy of it, and I'm different every time I come in. As my human host clears his filters, the purity of God changes in the channels. Did you know that? You won't find individual entities in the soup. There are energies, but the energies, as specific as you may see them, for instance, Archangel Michael, male, powerful, angelic, with a message. Male, just for you, polarized, just for you, means power. Angelic, angel, wings, that's for you. It means divine, Pay attention. Power. Pay attention. Message for you. It's all for you. Designed for your reality. And none of it is so. Archangel Michael is a piece of the whole, a beautiful. Every time Archangel Michael speaks, it's from all of us. Did you know that? But it's a singular message of love. Never conflicts with itself, just like physics does not conflict with Kryon. Because I am part of that, and it is part of me. We are not separate. We are not independent. You walk around in corporeal bodies, and you have names. We don't. We are one. And every message is from all of us. Do you realize that it resounds in your corporeal body because the divine part in you is also part of us and receives the message at the same time it's given, and you resound with it if your filters are clear? So there's talks of wars in heaven. Can you imagine? Physics arguing with itself. There's no polarity in God. There are no fallen angels with God. The mythology is there. And in an old energy, it served you. For it helped give a parable to you to understand perhaps a little more in your language, in your reality. To understand a little more about the dark and light. And it's not true. There's no such thing as a division of love. Love is pure. It is the creation source. And so all of these mythological stories are for you to help understand, and that was in the old energy, and now we're asking you to drop it. To see it for what it is in its majesty and splendor, and in the beauty that is in you. Not divided, not polarized. You don't have to fight a devil. In the corporeal human being, there is duality. That's the duality that you're going to fight. On earth, in the crystalline grid, in all of Gaia, there is a duality. As you've placed it there, that's what you've been fighting. You fight the test in 3D of the planet in order to find the divine, pure love of God. It has always been divine and always been pure and never polarized. Drop the mythology. Do not attempt to put human nature attributes on the divine source of God. And if you hear it and if you do it, you'll know that's what children do. And now you're mature. That's one. The next one, don't misinterpret. It's called accountability. It's not what you think. Your parents told you it's time to be accountable for what you do. Take responsibility for what you do. And so in your reality, you're thinking of it in one way. But you haven't heard what we have to say yet. I want you to take accountability, old soul, for the full spectrum of who you are. If something good happens, dear ones, listen to me. I want you to take accountability for it. You hear what I'm saying? Human nature. If something bad happens, you did it. If something good happens, God did it. You know I'm right. And that's how you were brought up. Now it's time for you to take accountability of the full spectrum. What have you been able to do? Has there been a healing in your life? Have you been able to lift yourself up past a certain thing? Have you crossed bridges that you never thought you could cross? Have you walked away from certain situations and remained strong and upright with integrity? Have you done it? And the answer is yes. In this room, because I know who's here. And it's time for you to look at that and say, I did it. And I did it because in me is the strength of God. In me is the ability to rewrite the engrams of my personality to become anything that I have been. To bring old consciousnesses of past lives and present them into current consciousness to solve problems. To bring strength that I didn't think I had, and you've done it. And you sit there and wonder what's happened. I'll tell you what's happened. You did it. It's time to take accountability of this and be responsible for the good things in your life. Human beings and human nature, and everything you've been taught, you're so willing to criticize your own consciousness. You're so willing to sit there and think, well, I've created my own problem and now I'm going to have to solve my own problem. And it's time for you to stop for a minute. And look what you've done. I want you to take accountability, old soul, for slogging through the old energy of centuries in order to be alive today, to watch this marker take place. And give yourself a high five for it. Because you deserve it. Relax. Breathe deeply. And know that you are God. It's time. Number 3. What do you think is happening in the future? And what have you been told? It's time for you to erase a consciousness that is less than positive. If it's true that you have a cellular structure that responds to everything you think and say, what are you thinking and saying? You have discussions with somebody, say, I'm afraid of the future. I'm afraid that this will happen. I'm afraid of this will happen. What have you just told your whole consciousness? You're still in fear. And you can't walk forward as an old soul with a piece of God and you about to do the things you came for and then say to your cellular structure, well, yeah, I'm afraid of it. This is kind of like accountability, isn't it? Watch what you say. The simplest things that you would say out loud, your whole structure hears them. It takes its cue from you, from what you think, your actions. If you had a talk with the masters who walked the earth, you could sit across the table from them. They could share with you their innermost beautiful thoughts. Can you imagine any of them saying, I'm afraid of this. Oh, I'm afraid of that. I'm afraid that humans won't do this or do that, and they won't ever do that. None of them. For they know the principles of accountability. They know about energy. They know about cellular structure. They know how consciousness can affect everything. They know. And this is what we're asking you to do. Write the future. Don't be afraid of it. And even if you have reservations deep inside, don't verbalize them. With the very speaking into the air sets an energy not only of yourself but those around you. Watch what you say about others. See the God in them first. This is accountability for being a piece of God, dear ones. Become less human. Set the paradigm for the next human nature. That was 2. 3 is controversial. Some of you aren't going to like it. And now we call the elders and the ancients into the room. And they're here. You know how I know? Because you brought them in when you walked in the room. Because they're you. Past lives. The ancients of the planet, the very first ones, are in you. You walked in with them. They're in your Akash. So we're going to pull them out for a moment and ask them to stand around the room, because they're going to be needed later, by the way, in the gathering of the feminine in the room. I want them to stand around here and listen to this next thing. And I want you to listen to them if you can, because of what I'm going to say. Number 3, drop inappropriate tradition. Oh, Kryon, what's inappropriate? Anything that worked in the old energy. Are you ready for this? Anything that worked in the old energy. So we're going to ask the elders and ask the ancients, is this appropriate? And they're going to speak with one voice. And here's what they're going to say. The things that we developed for you, including even some of the ceremonial attributes, were developed in order to fight the old energy, in order to survive in a certain kind of energy. Processes, procedures, rules, in order to give alignments to your body, in order to achieve certain balances, in order to work with an old energy that is not here. It's not here. What you learned in grade school, on the playground, is that your reality today? Is that what you're going to do? And the answer is, of course not, because you grew up. You get the metaphor, don't you? And the ancients are standing here and saying, the traditions are wiped clean. And right now, you are going to set the standard for the new traditions with the maturity of God, spiritual common sense. The energy is shifted. Start the traditions, because, dear ones, someday, in hundreds of years, that's what the ceremonies are going to do. Not what your ancestors did. You will be the indigenous of the new earth, and will have set the standards for what an enlightened soul who is spiritually mature does in the new energy. Do you understand? If you question it, I would ask you to use everything in your body and your intuitive sense right now to ask the ancestors, perhaps even those who come from your own tribe, is this accurate or not? And they will lay their hands on you. And they will say, blessed are you, who are the new elders. Please take it from us. Here is the mantle of our wisdom of the past to be placed upon you as the future. Please set the standards. Make the new traditions. This will be misunderstood. It's guaranteed. Because there are humans who will fight this, not understand it. They will say this. They will say, wait a minute. Isn't God the same yesterday, today, and forever? How can you now rewrite the traditions? And I will tell you this, and I've said this before, God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. But humans' relationship and maturity to the God self is always in motion. The traditions are men, not God. God didn't make the traditions. Humans did. Time to rewrite them. I'll give you one more. I want you all to take a trip with me in your minds. It's a beautiful one. I want you to remember something beautiful. I want you to remember falling in love. Not with your dog, not with your child, but with another human. I'm not asking you how it turned out. I'm asking you what it felt like when it was new. Can you remember looking into the eyes of another human being and having a suspension of just about everything? Can you go there with me? Can you remember sighing a lot and feeling your heart beat a certain way? Can you remember being so open, so trusting, and just wanting them around you and them looking back at you and saying, I feel the same way. I want to reopen that in you. I want you to go there because there's a reason. Because I want you to be able to do that in the mirror. I want you to fall in love with yourself so much. There's no ego there. There's no ego when you fell in love with another human being. You were egoless. You just wanted them. And that's how I'd like you to see yourself. All you want is the God in you. To be so present that it is a honeymoon for the rest of your life. This is the mindset that will allow creative energy to change paradigms on the planet. A human who is comfortable with themselves to such a degree that there's no judgment, there's no ego, because they're happy to be with themselves. And it's an advanced concept. It's an enlightened concept. It is not easy. Because the duality will always try to interfere. And dear ones, I'm telling you, a time is coming. And you can start looking at this time around about 2014 where there's going to be some coherence in energy. It's going to shape up. And there won't be this year of full moons anymore for you. You'll feel it. Maybe you ought to even design a ceremony around it. Set up some tradition. There's some things that are going to happen in this room in a moment that are going to set new tradition. And that is why they're happening. And you're going to see more of this. And people will look at it and they'll laugh. And they'll say, well, it's nothing we ever saw before, and it's probably all of this new age fluff. Not understanding it is exactly what we're asking for. It's time for a new paradigm. And how you approach some of the most ancient things you do that would honor God. Time to understand the maturity of throwing away the mythology of God, the humanizing of God, and seeing what it is. Then recognizing it in yourself. Then falling in love with it. To the degree you leave the room different than you came. There'll be more of these kinds of things. But this was enough for one day. the ancestors, stick around, because the room is going to heat up soon. And so it is.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lee Carroll. I am the original channel of Kryon.
Oh, yeah. And see if you're holding any tension anywhere in your body, and let your breath go there. Just softening, relaxing, enjoying that part that can just settle back. And imagine that this family is all connected today, because we are. We're connected by the field, and it's a wonderful thing that we can share this time together wherever we are. And that as we do, the information and the love from the Star Mothers, from Adirondda, from Kryon, comes to play with us, comes to be with us, comes to teach us, and comes to give us love. If we can open more and more to receiving that unconditional wave surrounding us in the love of the one source that those beautiful beings of light all have in common. The love, the wisdom, the sharing, all comes from the same beautiful place. So as we know that, we can relax even more deeply and begin to open ourselves like the beautiful flowers that we are to the love, the wisdom, and the guidance of Adirondda and Kryon.
So it is good day to you, huh? Oh, so very good to see your light, your brightness, your divine presence as you are acknowledging all of the energy of this planet. Whew, takes your breath away sometimes, doesn't it? With that energy and with that frequency that you are experiencing, know that this energy that you are finding is expanding all around you. It is getting higher and surprising, a bit more intense, eh? So with that intensity, we ask you to pay attention to what it is that you are choosing. Now more than ever before, your own innate abilities are coming through stronger and stronger than you ever thought possible. In the vessel Marilyn's home a couple of days ago, there was a spirit, physical, with their eyes you open, seeing them. They identified who it was, and both the Joy and the vessel Marilyn got confirmation. And then they delivered the message to the person that had crossed over was coming in. And if you need more details on that, we can give them to you. But you see, our point is your innate abilities with this energy that is happening right now are becoming more intense. We are asking you, we are pleading with you to learn to manage your own skills, your own abilities, your own frequencies, your own energy. Because if you do, then those around you do as well. And each of you knows at least 200 people. So that frequency goes out amongst all 200 of those people. And if you move into that place of panic, and it is very easy to do right now, to panic as to what's happening in the world, what are we going to do, what are we going to have, what are we going to experience. That energy is indeed expanding out. We know you know this. We know you know this. Do we need to say that again? We know you know this, so let us be able to stop telling you this once you get it, once you understand, once you hold that frequency in the peace that you are creating. You see, that peace that you are creating is also what is reverberating out into the planet. We asked our vessel Marilyn to pick a card, random card from affirmations from Lee Carroll, from the Mastery. Online, you can get the app yourself. It says, whatever I was born with doesn't matter. Now, isn't that interesting? I am in control of my biology, my immune system, and my awareness. I am healthy and filled with vitality. Now, think out of all the 44 or 144, we don't know how many cards there are, all of those messages were coming in right now, just as this pandemic, as you call it, this COVID thing, as you call it, which is really not what it seems to be. Understand that? It is not what it seems to be. Is coming in, and you are once again reminded that you are indeed in charge of your own immune system, and you have the qualities and the information to boost it. Now, a few years ago, everyone was shifting their DNA and getting 144 strands of DNA and 24 strands of DNA and blah, 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 blah. Of course, it is not proven by science. But you see, the energy field of humanity is documented and proven by science. So you know certain parts of your body will boost the immune system. You know certain activities will expand your consciousness of vitality. And yet, we go into a restaurant or we go into a park or something and people are sitting around talking about everything they don't want to happen. Stop it. That serves no purpose, dearest ones. That serves no purpose. What is it that you do wish to happen? Your own innate abilities are getting stronger and stronger. That is why the vessel Marilyn, the Joy, our dear friend Lee Carroll, Dr. Amber, Michelle, all are dividing in and acknowledging you to help you train and hone those innate abilities so you know what it is that you are controlling. So you identify that frequency as your abilities are getting stronger. It is a part of that frequency that is keeping you, dearest, healthy and strong. You know that some of you would not be able to be here and receive this activation, this energy, this information, unless we had this big thing going on and you were online and you were live streaming, and therefore you can see it easily from South Africa or Australia or somewhere else in the world. You see, this is a time for the world to be brought together and encircled in that frequency. Yes, how many times must we say it? The frequency of love and compassion. Love and compassion for our fellow human. We know that many of you are connecting with the galactics, and many of you are connecting with all of the beings that are not in physical form on this planet. They're not going to show themselves until it is safe, and until you can prove that it is safe amongst your own people, your own race, your own humans. The human race, not color. We don't believe in color. Everything is color. You see what we say? That the human must learn that their innate ability is expanding through the frequency of time and space. And with that innate ability that expanding through the frequency of time and space, that is what is creating your innate abilities to be expanded as well. Huh? We see we've got two things going on here. Huh? So with that energy, we ask you, what is it that you want? What is it that matters most to you? What is it that connects you to you? Is it all these things that are about you, trinkets and lights and tables and furniture and all the best technology you are finding that the world is simplifying and showing you what really matters? That is the new frequency. What is it that really matters to you? We will be talking about that several other times this weekend, because what really matters to you is the power and presence of you. Aha! How easy could that be? It's just you. Why is it that humans have a tendency to give their power away to another? Why is it that humans have the tendency to judge and act violently upon another just because of who they are? Or maybe what they have said. You have done that for 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 or 5,000 years. Aren't you ready to be done with that now? Take a deep breath. I am ready to accept all people in love and compassion and radiate that energy out beyond my physical presence. Take a deep breath. And so it is. Can it be that simple? Why not? Everything is possible. Yes. One radiating soul shifts another radiating soul, which shifts another radiating soul, which shifts another radiating soul. That is what your presence is here experiencing. That is why it doesn't matter almost what the information is. Just gather online amongst people all over the world every time you get the opportunity to connect heart to heart with each other. That is exciting to the galaxies. We will see you again, huh? We love you. We know you. We feel you. We love you more than you love yourself, maybe. And we bid you namaste. Namaste.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Once again, I would like to present a group of 4 channelings over the 2 days. They will link together to do something I have not done before. I want to present the story of creation all the way up to today from the standpoint of the Creator. This will be one of 4. And the title of all 4, the general overall title, you're going to like this. It's going to be The Love Machine. Kryon, why would you call anything, something that's not really that sacred, a machine? Almost everything that is given to you, dear ones, from the other side of the veil
has other meanings and purposes and metaphors. Many times the words that we would speak and give you in the way that we do has other messages within it based upon even the way it's given. And the reason is because your language is limited when it comes to that which is linear, what you're hearing today. Words after words put in a language which has to be translated many times. But there is another language. We've even called it the third language. Now, the reason we called it the third language, this is an explanation of what I just told you, has nothing to do with the one that says, oh, there's also a second language. Oh, there isn't. Well, how could there be a third language without a second language? And the reason is this. The third language is a metaphor. It has to do with the number 3, which means catalytic information. So the third language, therefore, is a language which is a multidimensional catalyst for understanding, for intuition. It lands in various places in you, including the pineal, that receptor that comes from the creative source and the higher self. So you see, even the simplest things that we discuss sometimes have profound meanings that are greater than the words we speak. The machine, the reason it's called a machine is you understand a machine. Number one, you would understand a machine has a purpose. A machine doesn't simply exist to be a machine. It must do something. It goes somewhere. Has a purpose. The next thing about a machine is it's filled with moving parts that interface one with another in a certain way. So the love machine is the description of a... Are you ready? Of a human being put here on purpose. It's a machine with a purpose. Built in love to put you right where you are. In love to put you right where you are. Not as a victim of the planet, but one who is known by God. Known by the creative source. Known by Spirit. There are some belief systems that will acknowledge that. They'll say, yes, God knows every hair on your head. And then in the next phrase, they'll say, and every hair will be tortured forever if you don't do certain things. That's not the God that we're talking about. The love machine is a grand story of beauty, of miracles, of you. And it starts so long ago. They tell you that this universe of yours, this galaxy perhaps, is many billions of years old. They talk about a Big Bang, which was the beginning of your universe. They talk about how old that might be. They're completely and totally wrong. They're wrong in the fact that this universe of yours is part of a multiverse system, and it was created from other systems that are far older than yours. Yours simply is the newest universe, and there will be others past yours. Older than you can think of, the system has been in place. They throw around numbers which don't mean much to you because a human being doesn't operate in billions and trillions. And so it's difficult for you to understand just how many years it would be. Years are only something for you, dear ones, on this planet. They represent a cycle around your sun, which is specific to your solar system. If you met somebody, and you will someday, from other solar systems, and you said, how many years old are you? They would have no idea what you're talking about. Because they would measure their times and their ages much different. But let's stay with yours, for you're told that this earth of yours is 4 billion years old, approximately. And when you go to Scripture, there is this wonderful description of a void somehow, where God created that which was light and that which was the earth and the sun and all of that which you know. It's all metaphoric, dear ones, including the time frame. Note how many days it took. That's a metaphor. It's a sacred number, dear ones. It means something. All to tell you this, that the creative force that you call God made it all. Made it all. Not accidentally, made it all. It was created for life, not just yours. For I've said before, the solar system that you have has that life which you call Earth, humans. But the galaxy is teeming with life. Now, where am I going with this? The love machine. There's a machine based in that which is the love for the human soul, which is about to put you here in a miraculous way. Science is discovering something that would have wrinkled the feathers of theologians in the past. That life is a natural occurring event all over the galaxy. That the same elements exist everywhere that exist here. If you go other parts of the galaxy, you're going to find the same attributes, the same laws, the same periodic table of elements. You're also going to find something else, that life is a natural occurring event. They come together synchronistically at the right time. You even have electricity. They come together at the right time, enhanced perhaps by lightning. It would create compounds, proteins, yes, even RNA. And it starts. It's natural. Scientists will discover that someday when they find the first microbes and cellular structures in other places, and they will find, yes, they started there in the same way they started here. But dear ones, nothing was natural here. There was a plan. There was a machine. Because humans would eventually come here. And humans would eventually have a soul. And the love machine was active in how that occurred and when it occurred. In this first channeling of the four, it's all about how you got here. If the universe is approximately the same age, all of it, and the galaxies are approximately the same age, that would mean that everything would have happened simultaneously, and the developments would have been that way, and they're not that way at all. Every single planet had its own scenario of how life would form, when it would form, when the elements would come together. Every planet is different in its climates and its gravities, slightly different enough so the elements come together as they do for that particular unique platform of the planet. Yours, well, it was delayed, let's say. When the scientists start to reveal what might have happened on this planet as they dig down, as they analyze and realize, well, there was life before life, before life, before life, and they'd be right. In other words, life started and stopped on your planet a number of times. And you might say, well, how is that possible? It's either here or it isn't. And I say, well, how linear of you. When life gets started, it has to have a process of sustenance. It must be able to reproduce, create itself, have a balance of chemicals now you call Gaia. That is perfect. And it's not automatic. So the creation of life may occur. But it's not going to keep going unless all of the elements are there to sustain it. And they weren't. So many times, that magic of life with the lightning and all of the compounds and all of that starting took hold, and you actually had life many times, and then it died out. Sometimes it would sustain itself for a long time because there was just enough, and then it would leave. And what I'm telling you is this, that it got started many times on this planet, but not until very, very lately did it take hold. And when I mean take hold, I mean this. Photosynthesis was very late on your planet. And that was the catalyst. That was the reason, when it came together finally in the right way, that life would sustain itself and continue and continue and continue. That you would breathe in the air and the plants would want what you breathe out. And they would exhale in their own way, and that's what you need to survive. This became the cycle that you know as Gaia, and it was very late. Other planets had it right away. And you might say, well, it's kind of a chance thing. Not on yours, dear ones. You might say that there was a helping hand that pushed it aside, and pushed it aside, and pushed it aside, so that you would get a late start. It was important that you get a late start because of what's going to happen next with the love machine. I want you to put this in context and don't look at this as raw science or odd channeling. What if the timing of you being here was perfect? What if the development of that soul as you sit right now on this planet in this galaxy was perfect? What if all of these things contain the love machine instead of chance or randomness, like you've been told? And if that's true, dear ones, and it is, that means you are no accident here. That indeed the Creator knows who you are, and that your soul was on purpose, that your lifetimes were on purpose, and that something is afoot. Something is happening, dear ones. And it is. You've moved past that precession of the equinox that my partner talks about, that shift that he talks about, which almost every planet with life like yours had presented to it in a different way. But they all had a time of awakening potential. They all had free choice, just like you do. They all had a creation story, but that's channel 2. We're getting there. I wanted you to be aware that that void in the creation story of the planet, indeed, that means a time before your solar system. The creation of light, literally, was not the creation of the sun. It was the creation of the potential of your soul. All here on this planet, ready to go. And the machine starts to work. That love machine. The love of humanity, which created it in a right way, predictable timing, in a way that you will discover as I give this channel someday is correct. The second channel of today, a little more about how you started, what happened next, and what happened next from the standpoint of the Creator who is in love with humanity. That's the machine. Totally and completely with a purpose. And the purpose is to know you. We're going to shake hands someday, dear ones, in a way that you don't expect. And I mean by this, your higher self in your soul will meet that old consciousness, linear human being in a way you don't expect. And the result, I'm going to tell you. That's it for now. And so it is.